Yo, if you were here live, then you just saw me quitting a different game. But because I wanted to do something else, and not just do nothing, the thing that I came up with was replaying the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Because that's a fantastic game, or two fantastic games, that I've only played through once when they originally released on the Switch. I think that's, yeah. Pretty sure that's when I played them. And I held these games in really high regard, almost as high as the original trilogy. And so I think they deserve being replayed. Because honestly, I don't remember the plot or the mysteries or much all that well. Like the other, the original trilogy, I remember pretty well. I've played through those games a couple times and watched multiple people play through them. That's like, I don't know, the original Ace Attorney trilogy is like the one series that I can just rewatch people play over and over and over again. And since I like this game almost as much, I think I should play that too. But I just pressed in the right analog stick, which counts as a button. That didn't do anything. Left stick, nothing. So this game actually 0 out of 10. Sorry. I guess hopefully at least the shoulder buttons work. They do, okay. So like a 2 out of 10, I guess. But let's see, I guess, the options. This is all fine. This is all fine. Voices in Japanese, of course. Okay. Well, let's not continue, because that'll put us somewhere near the end of the game. Of the second game, probably. There are... let's just go into the game. The Great Ace Attorney Adventures. The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Let's start with the first one, eh? New game. So if you've never seen this game before, it plays quite some time before the other Ace Attorney games.
極東の島国にまさに今西洋文化の大波が押し寄せていた活気に満ち溢れる帝都の民は変化革新の熱気にむせ返りその変化に戸惑う者も飲み込んで時代は大きなうねりの中にあった
Oh no! Who's that? That must be the killer. Look, we found our killer. That's definitely the killer guy. Baddy Bad Bad McBadson. He did it. We saw it. Episode 1. The Great Departure. The Adventure of the Great Departure. 22nd November, 8:43 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants and Chamber 5. But also let me think of a different title for this one. For this stream and the subsequent recording on YouTube. Great problems, greater solutions. Boom. Nailed it. Okay. So we definitely saw the killer just now. Good thing that's not us, eh? I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be that just beyond the doors of this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? Wait, my fate? Hey, guy. What? Oh, no, nothing. Save your glares, murderer! What? I'm not a murderer. I didn't do anything. Sorry. Turns out that was us. Oh no. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. For the uninitiated among you, Naruhodo, I think the entire name, maybe? No, I think, okay. Naruhodo is also the name of the protagonist, you know, in the Ace Attorney games in English, who's, you know, in English he's called Phoenix Wright. I think he's called Ryusuke, not Ryunosuke. But also something with Ryu and Naruhodo. Must be a coincidence, though. I mean, they're definitely not the same person. That is, I can spoil you that much. This guy and Phoenix Wright are not the same person. I'm a second-year student at the Imperial Yume University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident. And now, here I am, awaiting my trial. I didn't look at the time for my tea, so now I'm not sure. Let's say it probably takes like 2 to 3 more minutes. Then I'm gonna take the thing out and then add some honey and then wait a fucking hour before I can drink it. Not an hour, but a while. And now here I am, awaiting my trial. Well, that's enough. Who's that? This, I almost said that dastardly, but that's not the way. This dashing enigma of a man. He's not obligated to listen to such abuse, officer. And who are you? I'm this man's lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Lawyer? Yes, and until the judge has given his verdict on the case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue. He's got a sword! He's crazy! Technicalities. Look at you, you haven't even graduated yet. And yet, I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. He's confident. Right, Ryunosuke? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. So I guess maybe in this game, you know, we're playing the defendant, but the real protagonist is this guy, right? We're gonna be playing him since he's our lawyer? What are you apologizing to me for? Oh, no, I suppose that wasn't my fault. But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this. I'm sorry. There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. Though I must say, you have been all over the newspapers these past few days. Yume University professor murdered in cold blood by student. But obviously, you didn't actually do it, did you? Of course not. You have to believe me. I didn't do it. I could never murder someone. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up. Hold your head high. You mean... I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Kazuma Asogi, my best friend. Also in his second year at Yume University. But he's far more clever than I. A star student, in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive considering he's still an undergraduate. It's not that impressive. We were saying that out loud? The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old here in Japan, anyway. My qualifications don't mean much, yet. You said exactly the same thing 3 days ago. But I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma, truly. 3 days ago. Yes, that's when all this started. Okay, the 3 minutes are up. Let me take the bag out of the tea. And try to squeeze the last bit out without burning myself. I guess scalding myself would be more appropriate. And now we add some honey. Because one of the main reasons I'm drinking tea in the first place is to help my throat a bit. And honey with tea is supposed to be good for that. And also honey adds the sweetness that I prefer in my tea. Stir, stir, stir. And wait. Congratulations, congratulations, Kazuma. It looks like you're going to get to study abroad at last. I know, I've been forever dreaming of this day. Finally, those government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and successes in court. So he's already won a couple of cases. So you will be representing Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world. I'm really happy for you, and proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. And now there's not a soul who knows your name either, who doesn't know your name either. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. Is that why his bandana is always billowing like that? I want to bring about change in our own legal system. That's why I have to cross the ocean, to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too. Then come with me. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's City of London together. If only it were that simple. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. I like to imagine that in Japanese he also says partner or something. It was straight after that. That's when it happened. I shot a guy. In cold blood. Asogi, may I have a word? Professor, I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me. But never mind that for now, Asogi. You should go immediately to the judge's chambers. To His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial was a sudden decision. It seems there may be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at university before, while he was just called Professor. I see. I'll go at once then. I shall accompany you. Alright then, Ryunosuke. I'll see you in the courtroom. Who's that? Yes, thanks, Kazuma. Pikuri? Uh-huh. So, how's the weather, eh? This is awkward. If I may? Yes, sorry? You must be the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Yujin Mikotoba. I am a professor at forensic medicine at Yume University. Ah, Professor Mikotoba. I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Asogi has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. That's true. As such, I feel you should know. Know what? Well, that I know that you are the killer, and I won't stand for it. Well, as you've no doubt heard, Asogi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, I'm afraid that permission will be revoked. Oh no. Never granted again. That's a little much, though. What? As I suspected, you were unaware of this. I had a feeling Asogi may have chosen not to tell you. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered? But you know you're innocent, right, Ryunosuke? You didn't kill anybody, right? Right? But I don't understand. Why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas study. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. I don't believe it. But I didn't do it, I swear. I swear, I'm not a murderer, by the way. Can I set the text to be a little faster? Enable or disable the skipping of unread text in the main game. Escapade's text is skippable from the start. Well, then let's just do it always. Length of time until the next line of dialogue is in autoplay. Well, we're not going to use autoplay, I think. I'm sure that's true, nevertheless. I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. You see, there are certain peculiarities about today's trial. Sorry? What do you mean? You'll soon understand, once proceedings get underway. Huh? But then what should I do? Well, naturally, I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction. Right, so... As soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do? But I'm not ready to get married yet. What will the question be? Surely not... Do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Defendant! Rather cryptic, instead of just telling us what question to answer, but hey. Like, what if he just asks us how we are? Because we look nervous, and then we say, I do, and then it's like, oh no, this guy is a psycho. Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. Ah, it would seem our surreptitious discussions are to be cut short. So allow me to summarize. Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. Ah. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty for failing to appear? Get moving. There's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyway. Damn, dude. You don't even know me. This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dreams of studying abroad are over. And what's more, I'll be found guilty of murder. And so, with absolutely no idea what lay ahead, I embarked on that unforgettable trial. But did you not pay attention to what the prof just said? We can't let our friend defend us? What was that about? My one and only chance of proving my innocence, the trial that would decide my destiny. It'll be fine. 22nd November, 9 AM. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. We're not looking nervous at all. So this is a courtroom? The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. I don't much like the look of these people sitting in the public gallery. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. The powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. What? But why? It'll become clear in time, but for now... You need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It's about to begin. That guy sure looks familiar. This guy has his own look, though. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruto. The prosecution is ready, Your Excellency. As is the defense. Before we begin, there's one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to trial. As this is an unusual circumstance, I am obliged to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? Is this the question? This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do... I need to answer quickly. What should I do? I do. Your Excellency, no confirmation is needed. As I'm standing here beside the defendant, I hope it's clear who will advocate for this defense. We weren't quite the first to answer, but hey. What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruto, will be defending myself. You'll be... What? Smooth. What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Mikotoba told me everything, just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. Right? That's kinda... You know, we're innocent and he believes in us, so where's the problem? You think I won't be able to get you off? No, it's not that, really. It's just that, well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes, I knew that's how you'd feel, which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Professor Mikotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Well, well. Very well. The court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well, well. Does the accused admit defeat already, renouncing his own counsel, really? Igiari. Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows that the defendant's innocence is so apparent he's confident he can speak for himself. Boom. Nice one, Kazuma. Isn't that so, Naruto-san? Huh? Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. Don't worry, nobody can tell that you're not confident. You're the absolute picture of confidence. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. I realize you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Huh. Ouchie. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court. I think that says crime on the fan. You must have perpetrated a most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct are expected of all present. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency. It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. Let me drink some water real quick. My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. So let's start with the very simplest of questions. Yes. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I'd care to remember. But wait. I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Ryunosuke. Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank. You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. But I don't have a court record button yet. But I can't even find that. It's simple. You can access the court record with a press of R. If you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all in there. You just have to press R for the court record. Alright, there's no time to lose. There's the button. This is the list of evidence you've collected. Now try switching to people instead with R. You'll find details about the victim in here. When you're done, just press B to go back. Kazuma Asogi, 23 years old, a second year at the Imperial Yume University. He's my best friend and despite being a student, a qualified defense lawyer as well. Yujin Mikotoba, 42, a medical school professor at the Imperial Yume University. He's an authority in forensic medicine and Kazuma's mentor. Taketsuchi Aochi, the lead prosecutor of this case, who would appear to have little love for the changes the Cultural Reformation has brought about. And John H. Wilson. The victim of this case? He's 47. He was a visiting professor of medicine at Yume University from the British Empire. I wonder if in Japanese he's called Watson, because there's some name changes that they made for supposedly copyright reasons, which is also why the game didn't immediately come out. You know, when the game originally released on the 3DS. I think that's silly, but I don't know. He might have been called Watson. John H. Wilson. So remember, everything you do with the current case can be found in the court, everything to do, in the court record. Now, you'd better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the people section of the court record, and then press to present. Try it now. Present. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England, who invited to Yume University 3 years ago. Indeed, which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. And as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. You two are both undergraduates at the Imperial Yume University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honor? But I didn't do it. This case is coming under great scrutiny from all allies on the other side of the world, from our allies. The court thereby wishes to be for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Look at the time. I'm kind of... Alright, see you later. Good idea. See you in English tomorrow, partner. And then... The British Empire. Wow, it's incredible to think. Wait. That's Wilson. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, I should go and say hello. So I went over to the professor's table and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruto. Yes, Your Excellency? How did this professor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. The cause of death? Well, obviously that was, Ryunosuke. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence? But how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now. Give me some time, okay? Death occurred a little after 2 p.m. and was caused by loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body. John H. Wilson, male, British, 19th of November, shortly after 2 p.m. Single bullet fired at close range. Fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. Can't look at that any closer. Proof that I'm a student at the Imperial Yume University. I always wear it on the collar of my uniform jacket. Hi! Well... According to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Learn to read, you imbecile. That's the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry, yes, that's right, the post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is a so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Pretty close range, yeah. Thank you, counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. Photographic print. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. Science. Well then, I am satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better appraise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness who was there at the scene of the crime, who was there when it happened. This is it, then. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes, clearly, you're the lawyer today, not me, but that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Ah, of course. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Asogi must not be the defensive lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. I won't need any. I've played these games before. Well, my first piece of advice is, rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. Can I have some of my tea? Let's see. I can. But I guess I didn't put enough honey in. Shut up! Shut the fuck up, PC! Shut up! Added a bit more honey. Okay. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course, my name is Satoru Hosonaga. I am the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called La Carnival. Hosonaga would be, like Hosoi is like thin, and Nagai would be long, so he's long and thin. Thin and long. Oh god, he's got, what's it called? That disease that was common during the day. In that day. During those times. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. Well, it really should. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, but full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery, 3 days ago. Understood, Hosonaga-san. You will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. At once, sir. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. I'm gonna have to, though. Oh, aspiring maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 PM on the day in question. Ayo, Fiber. Well, you know, they gotta save money somehow. It was just after 2 p.m. on the day in question. We have few diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits with my memory of it too. There was hardly anyone else in the place. It was when I was in the kitchen putting away crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. You know, they could just add guns, you know, just add guns, you know, shoot people. That would make everything better, just like it makes everything better in real life. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student. A grappling hook, yes. Actually, that's even better than a gun. Hold on, let me just clarify something here. While I did pick up a gun that I found lying on the floor beside the professor, I didn't shoot him. I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur. But the next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, defended Naruto. Don't worry, Ryunosuke. You'll have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness. If I may confirm one point, waiter. Standing beside the victim with a gun in his hand was the same man we see here in court today. Yes, without question. I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No. There was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Huh? Wait, what did you just say? But there was supposed to be 3 people, or 3 tables with people. There was no one else around that table? What's the matter, Ryunosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello. There was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, what should I do? I think we can wait and see. Look, man, if I had a bandana, I'd be cool too, okay? It's just not fair. I desperately want to say something, but I was told not to interject. Ryunosuke, if your parents tell you to study, you're the kind of man who would diligently get to work, aren't you? I suppose I am. I'd never have got into Yume University otherwise. But you can't just always follow the rules in life, you know? If you don't say what you want to say right now, you'll seriously regret it when you're found guilty. Alright, you've scared me. I won't forget that piece of advice in a hurry. And there is something I want to say. I'm just going to shut my eyes and say it. Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table. Maybe. Dear me, what are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all? But I'm sure of what I saw. Hosonaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy? Maybe not his memory. No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please have a look if you'd like to. Let me see. A sketch of the establishment layout drawn by yourself, I presume. That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. I'm sure there's something important on the other side. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Yeah, that's definitely irrefutable proof. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well... Is there a problem? Hand the plan of the court to the officer at once. Of course. Here you are. He doesn't want us to see the other side, does he? What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Something clearly seems to have shaken him. The waiter's business card was ever... Let me take a look at it. Though they might do the thing where I can't turn it around yet. So, the court has now heard a precise of the case. Yep, I can't turn it around. But I can look at it. That says Iriguchi, that's entrance, and this is... soundlight. It says kitchen, apparently. But I guess that must be in like olden Japanese or something, because I think Daidokoro would be kitchen, and I think that would look different from that. Awesome. The shoulder pads? What shoulder pads? Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant. The only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruto. Yes, Your Excellency? If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. Upon a killer? I don't know about that. These there, you mean those shoulder things? Yeah, you could do that. It doesn't seem too complicated. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense, if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial. The prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Dumbass Ryunosuke. Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual about these peculiarities. You said it, Professor Mikutoba said it, and so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. You're falling for their plans. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent, I trust you. And yet despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face, is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is. Yeah, dog. Even though I would like to cross-examine Hosonaga first. For the lie he's been telling? Indeed. Prosecutor Archie, please continue with proceedings. Well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. I don't think anybody calls you a saint. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witness. Very well, officer. Bring forth the witnesses at once. Witnesses. All at once? Yes, all at once. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. The Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Iesa Nosa. It's like, yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, sir, no, sir. Reporting for duty, sir. Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the efflorescence of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Ruste, a humble premises in the 2nd District, Curio Collector, at your service. Curio Collector. Great names. An antique dealer and a soldier. What an unusual pair. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. They must be diners at the other table that the waiter mentioned. The diners. Myself, I habitually take tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon. And not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding the curios with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. It's not that complicated. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at La Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares up to them. He obviously targets La Carnival because it's a high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. I just remembered something about this character. That we'll see later. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this most atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative. The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir. Did you just hear that? Must have been my imagination. This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. So, this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. More liars! The soldiers claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you shot the victim dead. Yes. Well, are you going to feel uncomfortable? Are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start. Good. Now the court will hear your formal testimony, please. You would state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Sir, yes, sir. Standing by, ready to report, sir. What was that sound? Unsavory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. Witness testimony. What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beef steak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. What's that sound? The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian. From the back, the cowardly little weasel. That doesn't sound right. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. So he doesn't claim to have seen anything. Well, so you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university candidate, sir. The cruel and unforgettable enemy. What times we live in, when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of day. But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Yeah, I stabbed someone. Is that really true, Ryunosuke? Yes, all I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor. But why? After I had said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant, when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. You didn't hear the gunshot, though? I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it. So I bent down, and just as I was picking it up... Bang! That's when you heard it. Well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on this scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. There is? Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine? Do it now. As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice. Certainly, the testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt, does it though? Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict of this trial. That's how you do it. What in the name of the Empire is the meaning of this outburst? I mean the defense demands its right to cross-examination. Dear me. Let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it? How pathetic. Huh? How did he know? The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination? The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Kazama is so commanding. Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witness. Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. You have to cross-examine. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witness's statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means that what that soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it, and the key to doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Now let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. Nice audio comedy. Alright then, it's all or nothing. Don't worry, Ryunosuke. You'll learn how to slam properly. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak. I guess let's save for the first time. These are my old save games, so let's save somewhere else. Down here. The beefsteak. Can I press? Yes, I can. Why aren't you saying anything? Is this some new interrogation technique? I I hadn't actually thought of what I wanted to ask. Just ask about anything that catches your attention, anything that bothers you. Alright then, this beefsteak you mentioned. What kind of food is that? Tishun! Beefsteak is a delicious cut of veal vigorously cooked on a cast iron grill and served piping hot. Oh. If food could receive medals of honor, beefsteak would be almost as highly decorated as a cutlet. Right, I see. Thank you, sir. So, next question. This cutlet you mentioned. What kind of food is that? Oh, Ryunosuke. Attention! Cutlet is a delicious cut of veal tossed in breadcrumbs and deep fried in cooking oil. Accept your guilty verdict, atone for your crimes, and when you're released from prison, try it. Yes, sir, I will, sir. On the double, sir. Sorry to interrupt, but how about trying to stick to questions that are relevant to the case? Oops, sorry. I'll do my best. So, next question. Is it just me, or do you keep hearing a sort of wah crying noise? Negative. Yeah, definitely not. Well, at least we've learned that he's a big beef lover. Affirmative. It's not easy knowing what questions to ask. Well, but you still have to do it. I was extolling the virtues. We start by pressing everything. Just like we'll do forever. I have no idea what you're talking about. A Koban, boy. A Koban? You mean an old Edo coin? The day prior to the incident, a true treasure of exceptional value from the Hoi period entered my possession. I took myself to the restaurant the following day, with said item secreted in my bosom pocket, in the hope of an affluent cognizant appraise of its indisputable value being present. So you were hoping to sell your Koban coin? To Sergeant Nosa, whom you met at the restaurant? Yes, it's quite clear where you're going with this, boy. You were about to assert that a penniless soldier would have no hope of pursuing a precious Koban purchasing. Is that so? Isn't that so? Well... You little upstart cadet. You want to add disrespecting a superior officer to your list of crimes, do you? Blatant subordination. No, I didn't say anything. Although penniless might be just the word I was looking for. In any case, the hour was already advanced beyond that of the midday luncheon. There remained precious few present with whom I could engage in discourse about matters of business. The gentleman beside me, who was grappling with his braised veal at the time, was my sole prospect. I see. At that particular firearm was your charge. You saw everything? Tell us. So, you're saying that you actually saw me at that time? Affirmative. I saw you. Laughing, cackling, like a madman as you trained the barrel of your gun on the English civilian. But that's impossible. I only... Allow me to confirm just one point, please. What's that, Private? Thinking carefully about the statement you just made, it seems to me that it must have been just after you heard the gunshot that you looked over to the victim's table. And so what if it was? Well, if that really is the case, it would mean that you didn't in fact see the precise moment when the killer actually fired the gun. Uh-huh. Ah! And double R! My sixth sense. Sorry? My sixth sense was of danger. I picked up the waves of murderous energy radiating from your foul mind. He's got a spidey sense. Maybe that's what that weird baby sound is. It's actually a spider. Which means a split second before you pulled the trigger, I was looking right at you, cadet. A likely story. Surely that's not really possible, is it? Do you think I'd have got where I am today in the army if I couldn't sense danger in the air, son? Well, it would seem the soldier's absolutely convinced that he saw you do the deed. This is not good. Black uniformed varsity cadet fired an Englishman from the back. Now that just doesn't make sense. So this black uniformed university cadet, you're saying that was? Ah, I've had just about enough of your sauce, cadet. Cadet. Who else do you see around here in black uniform, my friend? Well, there's someone standing right next to me who fits the description as well, but... It was you, you little weasel. You unloaded the firearm on that man. From behind his back, and you call yourself a citizen of the great empire of Nippon. You disgust me. What is it, Yunosuke? I'm not quite sure. It's something that the sergeant has said, but I can't put my finger on it. Something's playing on my mind. In that case, check back over the details of the evidence you've gathered in the court record. And if you find an inconsistency there with what the witness just said, then don't look back. Present the evidence to the court. Thrust it in the witness's face and make him choke on it. I wonder if the game skipped the tutorial part of this, where they explain how to, press and present. Or if they just don't really explain. But hey, I don't need the explanation. Okay, anyway. Gunshot to the chest. Weird, isn't it? Care to explain, sir? While I finish my tea. What? What are you playing at, cadet? Cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination, thrusting this wad of papers in my mustache? Inconsistency, sir? I mean, yes. You'll get it down at some point. There's a clear inconsistency here. Fisk, what nonsense. What can this document possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom. This is so frustrating. Proper slam. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. Nice save, bro. Kazuma, what? What are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at the post-mortem report presented by the defense that there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement. What? Sergeant Iesa Nosa. Yes, sir! What, sir? The statement you just made was this. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Not leaving out any detail. Yes, sir, affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir. Military-grade eyes, man. Where'd you get those? But no, that just can't be. And why not, cadet? Cadet? I keep saying it wrong. Because, as is clearly stated in the post-mortem report, fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma, no exit wound, bullet not passed through the body. The photographic print of the victim clearly shows the same thing. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from bullet wound to the chest. Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? What is this? Oh my god, some weird creature popped up from behind. Oh, what? What is that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again? Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious La Carnival steak, sir. Well, why would you lie about that, man? What? The last testimony the court heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Yesa Nosa, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There's no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Boom. His bandana still billowing behind him. There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial, just from that one discrepancy. And you pointed it out, Ryunosuke. You didn't even get a hint. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. Haha, name drop. But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there, he was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back. But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either? What are you calling old man, motherfucker? Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? On the dance floor. He was breaking it down. Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Treasure. Indeed, the Hoei-era Koban, my prized coin. On each occasion when I visit that restaurant, it is my habitude to place in my bosom pocket a particular trinket of interest from my shop stay. In the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you? On the day under scrutiny, it was to the military man that I preferred my Hoei treasure. Believe that he would purchase such a rare find, I did not, but I was presented with little alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, it was there no more. It simply vanished. The Koban vanished? Hunting around under the table I was, in case mayhap it had fallen there, and then it happened. You heard the gunshot, you mean? Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoei treasure. Nothing could distract me. Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end? No. So there's another crime. I see. That lamentable day, the precious Hoei Koban was lost to me. No doubt, some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself. Why are you looking over there? That's weird. As I'm sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. That's stupid. Nevertheless, the witness testimony in the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British. It would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Aochi? Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will not find a wolf at the back. But he will find a wolf at the back, rather. My witnesses have further testimony to make. Explain. Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could have possibly committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruto. What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Very well, the court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear? As clear as Kiriko glass, Your Excellency. Yes, sir. At once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir. Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think? Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name, Aido. I do, sir. I guess would be the name there. Or I guess I do know, sir. Whatever. It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny. Aido, attention! Your father's about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy. Gross snot. Snotty baby. The true culprit. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing. Almost. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man he was, that young lad in black, that much I myself did see. But I thought your attention couldn't be taken. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Therefore, no one other than the black uniform cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out. Well, we'll have to, call that into question, won't we? Wait, that's nonsense. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. Please, enough of these outbursts already. But there was a woman. There was a young woman at his table. You must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her. Is this woman in the room with you right now, Mr. Naruhodo? If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of this court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies. It is evident, beyond all reasonable doubt, that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. Really, no. Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime, Counsel? Indeed, of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. Let me just compare that with the other photo. There's another bit of a glass or something over here. And the steak might be in a different state of being eaten. No, that might be the same. But yeah, is there not a glass missing? It's not the flower glass, is it? That's way further from the wine bottle. Yeah. Things were moved! As can plainly be seen, there's only one place set. Certainly, based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. This doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. I don't understand. What's going on here? It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman. The waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. Well, maybe he came alone. But that's not true. I saw her. I swear that I saw a woman with him. It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt. These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Taketsuchi Aochi, will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honor. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma. The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witness, but make it quick, understand? Rules can be so unbending at times. Don't think there's a spot to point out that inconsistency, that discrepancy that I found, but, you know, it'll come up if we press, probably. Even if Don't think there's a point to pressing that, but we'll still do it. No, it's not the same thing at all. For a start, I didn't fire that gun. We have a different difference of opinion on that. The opinion of a uniformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet. I don't think so. Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked. Did you? Did you see it? Did you see me blink? How could I? And yet it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it. Yeah, that's great, perfect reasoning. Have what? Tension! The sound of the firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, I saw you waving that gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all, don't you? And let us not forget that the antiques dealer witnessed the accused in this most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, correct, Hassan? Pointing his gun at the foreigner man. Did you, though? Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at that point in time. But I've told you already, that's only because I picked it up off the floor. If only we had the technology to check the ballistic prints. Because then we'd know that that gun that we picked up wouldn't have been the same one that shot the bullet, apparently, right? Because we picked it up and then we heard the shot. Well, obviously, as the culprit, that's the only way you could explain it away. I had just finished drinking my coffee and I was about to leave the restaurant when I noticed a gun on the floor and Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And at that exact moment, a gunshot rang in my ears. Full of events beyond your control, I guess. What are you, Yoda? Sorry? What do you mean? In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas, conversely, I failed to pick up the Koban from the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains, myself, I did see you. With pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only prisoner. You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there. As you have been at pains to point out time and time again, I feel I'm growing callous in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. If only there'd been more people dining there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know, of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect. Certainly, 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone. But he wasn't alone. Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was? This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It's a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant. Hotta clinic? Hotta. Surely no relation to Hottie. Yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th November, noon to past 1 p.m. The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder. What do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, it's hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for Dr. Wilson's medical report card to be submitted to evidence as evidence or not? Of course. Where would be the downside? No, it's not capturing my arm. There it is. If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency, when I raise it all the way up. Okay, now it's doing it. But at first it didn't fucking capture it. Whatever. On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern. Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon. You have no authority to refute a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well, the court will grant the defense's request. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend. Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. Yippee. What we need right now is new clues. No, can't get any more info out of this thing. Water clinic. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I heard you. I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Corrector-san. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. So you actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone? That I did. Forgive me for the position I placed you in. Well, since you're lying, I won't forgive you. So the testimonies of the old man, the soldier, and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? And let us not forget the incontestable evidence we have to support their statements as well. Well, that's the part I would like to contest. As can clearly be seen, there's only a single beefsteak on the victim's table, a meal for one. No. The antiques dealer, the sergeant, and the waiter who testified before. It's not impossible that they're all lying. But if so, then why? If I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea. They got paid off, or, there's somebody in power. Therefore, no one... Over and out. Why aren't you telling the truth? What? What did you say, cadet? I clearly remember. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. But for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, that's just not possible. Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruto, it's not just a case of these two witnesses alone. Sorry? The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said that the victim was alone. That's right. Precisely. In other words, you are the sole proponent of this Phantom Lady. The Phantom Lady. Ace Attorney 5, the Phantom Lady. But I... If such a woman were indeed present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. Well. And if no such proof exists, the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It is a blatant waste of the court's time. There's nothing I can say to that. Excellent work, Yunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. Can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. That's what I wanted to do. How exactly? You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Press and you can take a closer look at the pieces in question. Use him to do. Wow. Yeah. To rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles. By using Herbert. I get it. You can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. If the crosshairs start to pulsate, press R to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there's something new to be learned by examining it one more time, in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use and to inspect any areas of the evidence that looks suspicious. Okay. John Wilson. It says Hotta Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics, almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the cold, the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. Brr, I'll never forget it. Never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have had only one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. But yeah, welcome to the club of people who don't get sick. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. What? I guess we'll turn it or flip it around. Oh my god, there's something here. But also, I guess... dentist. Dentist, you say? It looks like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of a long-term treatment, that's why. With a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. So you don't like doctors then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible tasting medicine. They give you painful injections. I've never had an injection be painful. And then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege, all when you're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is a very bitter medicine indeed. We're not gonna talk about the fact that it says dentist. Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. Ah, and there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas? That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. Although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. There's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure, until anesthetic effects have passed. Interesting. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. with this new information. The meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So, I think it's time we listened to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely. Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to skip that one without reading it. Pointing gun, okay. Visual search, no. Alone he was, dining all by himself. I guess it would be that. That's the only mention of actually dining. Presented by Ryunosuke, the medical report card. Damn it, come on. Whatever. I'm not going to do that anymore, because the software, the camera, won't catch me. Won't capture it properly, rather. Well, I think, about what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer? I wish I could, but first and foremost here I'm the accused. Ryunosuke, everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was that you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright, and thanks for the advice. But first let me drink some water. Correct, son? This is a medical report card belonging to the victim. Ah, I see. And I don't see... What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up. Dear me, have you forgotten my words so soon? By the way, can I now also examine this thing properly? Ah, haha. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Isn't that weird? Well, that's unexpected. What is? Look, do you see it says the witness's name here, Satoru Hosonaga? Well, yes, business cards do tend to show the person's name, that's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected, it's his job title. His job? Oh! Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector? What on earth? I have no idea. But let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence, if they're wielding it somehow here. That's what I wanted. This plan of the restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative position of everything in the moments following the incident. But there's nothing to show the woman you say you saw there. Exactly, and that's not all. Look here in the upper left, where it says kitchen. Oh yes, what of it? No one would use those complicated characters to write kitchen, especially not if they were in a hurry. Huh. You mean you don't remember those characters yourself, don't you? Study harder, Ryunosuke. It's funny because I already mentioned that I wouldn't be able to read this. Have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. If it was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant, whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. But that's, Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil who could... Finally, a proper slam. This medical report card has nothing to do with the case. Do you really believe that? What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hotel Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic? A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted? Watch this now. And furthermore, if I told you that as a result the victim had been forbidden from eating? Just what are you trying to say, cadet? You had orders not to eat, so what? It's all written up here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't. Correct, son? What, boy, what? As you just heard, when he was killed, sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. No. Additionally, there's more. You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner. He's proud of us. What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. What about it? You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table. Could have easily been moved. Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic? How dare you? I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. So having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. What's with the half-eaten steak? Who in fact was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel? That's you. Counsel? Oh, yeah, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of your turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it? So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been... me! The victim himself. The 2 witnesses. The as-yet unknown third party. The woman, so to speak. Obviously, it can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table. You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person. There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through as a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial relentlessly. Kazuma, are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, Counsel. I have no issue with you. But I do. What do you mean? I have issues with them. Those 2 witnesses in the stand. What? What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury. Perjury? And, since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing. Complicit? In murder? No! Oh, how are the turntables? No, negative! There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. They love to say that, don't they? That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentleman woman. That's what they told us. Well, Your Honor, I think we have some decisive witness testimony now. Oh. What? What did you just say? Correct-a-son? Oh, no. You were just following orders? Now hold on, lad, I was, Say you never saw the gentlewoman. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean... You saw the victim with a lady from overseas? Dun dun dun. What? What? What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements. Is this true, you pair? So he wasn't in on it. Just one simple slip of the tongue. Yeah, definitely a slip of the tongue. Happens all the time, you know. You mean to say one thing and then you say an entire string of sentences that is completely contradictory to the entire thing. It happens to the best of us. Order! Order! Counsel, explain what is going on here. It's painfully clear now. You try to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. But he lost his vigor again. Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? Well, that's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator of this to this murder, are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Yunosuke, judging from the way they are reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Ouchie had any idea about it. Yeah, I don't think so. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? Oh, I might. If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we can make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield their power here. But how? How can we possibly... Remember how we made progress before? Before? I already got that shit done, bro. We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Would have been a nice detail if, you know, the game checked whether or not you had already, you know, tried that before and then was like, remember how you found new info with that thing instead of doing this? But whatever. Oh yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I guess I'll check if there's any other piece we can examine more closely now. Yippee! Ah, the symbol of Yuma University. Every student wears this pin with pride. It's funny, but most emblems seem to be either round or rectangular. I like the spike design, even though it doesn't really make any sense. Although it does cause problems. Lots of students end up cutting their fingers on their badges. Ouch. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders, a sharp pin for a sharp mind or something. Maybe. My personal student number is engraved on the back here. 0000901. I don't know. If you lose your pin, they won't accept you as a Yume student at their university. You may not come in, they say. Of course, you can get a new pin made if you can just tell them your number. I've actually lost mine twice already, but I still don't know my student number by heart. Okay. I always say to myself, I mustn't forget to write it down somewhere. But then I forget not to forget that. My personal student, okay. Amazing. Can't view that in any more detail. Or that. Okay. I want answers. If it is proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe. Please, wait. Your Excellency. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god. I knew nothing. And what does the defense have to say about all this? Well, Your Excellency. No time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head. Or pick one, based on facts. Besides the prosecution, the only person with a necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is Satoru Hosonaga. Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san? The waiter who took the stand earlier? Poppycock. What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even a head waiter could not possibly have the level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If, that is, the man truly were a waiter. What? If he truly were? You didn't do your homework, did you? Come on, Ryunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity as proven by this evidence. The Schmeiter. The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question? I agree it shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon? Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling detail is. Confidence? Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Hosonaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession, his true profession. The waiter's profession? But what? That's surely... Good gracious! That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? So you're easier to manipulate. The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power, absolute power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So sometimes there's witnesses in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Hold it. Is it the man himself? Inspector Hosonaga. I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well... No problem. Of course. Pretty big amateur mistake, gotta say. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake. So, you mean to say you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Ah, of course, your salary must... I was working undercover. Undercover? Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently, by the way, if I check the history. Your salary must be terrible. Okay, I was kind of hoping it said, like, your salary must have been cut as a reference to the many salary cuts that another detective in the series has received. Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? Drug deals? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. That's hard to believe in this point in time. At this point in time. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also have been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this or other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable! As I suspected. Bang. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once? So you don't even know why. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. Why? The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. Well, but naming a Japanese person, wouldn't that be kind of worse? Like, hey, a Japanese guy ordered this English person versus, hey, you guys, that was an internal thing between you guys? We had nothing to do with it. But we will provide evidence, of course. So that's the reason for the disappearance of this phantom woman in this case. But it's not right. Yeah, it's not right. Okay. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yuma University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain, and I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory, is a young Englishwoman. What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you are the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean, when I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The English woman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Jezebel Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yuma University's medical faculty. What? What is happening here? I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to Your Excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point. Stick that Iggy somewhere where somebody cares, ouchie. But Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Yeah. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, sir. You will locate this Jezebel Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem? Unless he dies before. Nothing will get in my way. Okay. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English judge student Jezebel Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Your Excellency! Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. Talk. To be continued. Do, do, do. Well. I was going to continue. As I said, I don't really remember how long any of this goes, how much of this goes in general. So I was assuming that, we'd maybe she'd come up, we'd, cross-examine her stuff. But I guess if it, turned this into a trial part 2, then maybe this will be kind of long. And since we kind of started late because of the way the stream started, I guess we'll end it here. Was the first part of the first trial of this fantastic game. So, yeah, well, let's do that. So yeah, thank you for watching, hanging out, and, getting started on a really, really good detective game with me that I've already played, but it's been a while. And I hope you'll join me again sometime. I guess probably tomorrow. This time from the start. And hopefully we'll finish this case, and I guess the way it'll go, we'll probably start the next one too. But we'll see. Or maybe the Earth will explode and none of that will happen. I'll still be here though, so you join me too, out in space, or in your usual room where you watch me from. Either way is fine. So, until we meet again, I say otsukare-sama. But wait, Oh, no, I just. Oh, sorry. I had something all wrong. I thought. Okay. I thought this part of the stream, like, the recording of this game had already been going for 3 hours almost. But that was how long the stream had been going. So instead of what I'll do, because I made this entire preamble and shit, because my water's running low, I'm gonna refill my water. And then we'll be back. It won't take 5 minutes, but I'm not gonna change this. BRB. Okay. Here we are. And we're gonna continue after all. Teehee. Because I thought, it had already been 4 hours since I started streaming, and I was like, okay, well, I guess then it's a good time to stop. But if we had only been playing this game for 2 and streaming overall for 3, then I'm like, okay, no, we can keep going a bit. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you'd started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. It's kind of cool that he really didn't help us point out inconsistencies or anything at all, really. All he did was provide moral support and stop the prosecutor and stuff when they were, let's say, badgering us. So he didn't really do anything, well, not much at least, to help us out as a lawyer, specifically. Only for technical terms, but none of the logic. Forget it, that's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. No, I guess this will be the only case with him at the helm then. Oh well. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss J. Zale-Brett, a student from Great Britain, is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are the one thing I'm sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman? Powers of observation, a pretty strong part of any Sherlock Holmesian detective. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself, then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table. I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor, and just after I bent down and picked it up. I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective. He apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Oh wait, that's probably, yeah. Professor Mikotobo. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you will make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned for this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I am the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life. I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma? Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Woodson was a visiting professor at UMA. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that you pair would put up a good fight right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. I suppose we'll never find out who that is. Defendant Naruhodo. Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before those old fossils know what's hit them. With your sword? Kazuma? What? Thank you. Really. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. The music in this game, by the way, is also top-notch. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer, and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up his dreams of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'd save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. It's a deal. The court hereby resumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruto. Prosecutor Aochi, have you managed to subpoena the witness? Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Sorry? Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about. And I'd say it's your own fault for not doing your job properly. It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation founders? Wait, what? Will emerge... New treaty breaks down and our nation founders. Sure. Terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. Boom. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke. What do you mean? A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England? Shut up, you jumped-up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. You know, he might not be right, but he's making some solid points, right? That's definitely a viewpoint. I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there's one thing that I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Damn. Good line. Well said, Ryunosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror. You little brats! Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Jezale Brett. Yes. Your Excellency! Cool hat. Or is it even a hat? Maybe it's a parasite that's controlling her. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea. Someone bring English tea. In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? No idea. So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course. Oops. Accidentally skipped. Hold on. I can't hit the history button. There it is. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I've been working undercover as the head waiter at La Carnival, but my true... Yes, we know all about you already. Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are one thing you're sure of. Oh yes, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Ryunosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty? Was she wearing that same head-do? Hat, one might call it. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. English. Well, surely we understand English, or at least Kazuma does. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but what? The lady says her name is Jezale Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student, currently enrolled in Yume University's medical faculty. Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird song. As far as I can tell. The detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke. Setting us up for success. The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? Yeah, were you there? I guess I wasn't not there, huh? She says yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying there here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting, when you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Murder, isn't it beautiful? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Apparently it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say? Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Aw, shit, I guess the truth comes out after all, we did it. We're a killer. it's you know, we tried our best, but we did it. We're murderer. Order in court. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Can we really trust a witness like that, though? Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Oh, did we? Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. Oh, okay, well, that's it then. This is a condemning testimony indeed. No, I don't have any kind of argument, didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all. Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard. And look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before, and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so. On the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. Was she? As you can see, there's nowhere about her a person where she can conceal a firearm. Really? I can think of several spots. One being really conspicuous. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Yeah. Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. That's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it, okay? Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that. Which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we still need to pull her testimony apart. Oh. Look at that smirk. The smirk of an innocent lady who didn't do anything wrong. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. Cross-examination. Examination. Examination. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. After 2 p.m., in fact. That's really quite a late lunch, isn't it? You don't keep up with the latest fashions from Britain, do you? Late luncheons are in vogue, isn't that right? No. A decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. So it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yes, which we can prove from the medical report card that was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to luncheon following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late. Yes, that all makes perfect sense. Such wonderful logic. What a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman is. So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? But I was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only. He was unable to eat, you say? And that was because he just had a tooth removed at Hotta Clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering? Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. With him looking away from the table. Exactly as it was left? Dear me, what a harrowing experience. To have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Tragic, huh? Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all. That's right, other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes, the professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass... with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement? It's very meaningful. Oops. The last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case. Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing, huh? The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Well sidestepped, counsel. Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm going to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope that there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. Nope, just that one. Beefsteak for myself and the Professor Knives at Cheesus over a glass of water. I could present something here, but let's just keep pressing. Wait, I guess I should first press this. So both you and the professor drank this carbonated water, did you? Yes. Being the waiter, I poured the 2 glasses myself. I clearly remember doing so. Except you're actually a detective. And the beefsteak. That was for you, Miss Brett. The lady says that she'd heard it was not customary to eat beef here in Japan until Japan opened its doors to the world. Yes, that's true. What a frightful place, is the lady's opinion. And I've heard it's not customary to eat sashimi in Great Britain. Now that's frightful. Every country has its own cuisine. As long as people have food to eat, what doesn't matter what it is. True. Oh, he even said true, so I thought so. Come to think of it. The first time I tried carbonated water, it was much more of a shock than the first time I tried beef. But anyway, back to this witness's statement. Somehow, I feel there's something out of place in what she's saying. We need to pounce on even the slightest thing now. Because you never know what might lead us to our goal. Our goal of turning this trial around. Understood, Kazuma? The accused came over to greet the professor and they got into a fierce argument. We didn't... I never got into an argument with the professor. All I did when I noticed him was go over and say hello. Please, don't get angry with me. No, I wasn't directing that retort at you. It was meant for the lady next to you. But anyway, as I said, I did not argue with the professor. I'm afraid your words are in vain. Sorry? Miss Brett does not appear to speak Japanese. No, of course not. Japanese is such a cumbersome language anyway. English is the future. We must all speak English. Yikes. That guy. I wonder if the prosecution will feel that way forever, or only in the presence of a beautiful woman, Well, that beautiful woman is telling blatant lies with a completely straight face. I have to find something that will unravel her testimony, no matter how seemingly insignificant it may be. Anyway, it seems that after the argument, the accused briefly returned to his own seat. That part ties in with what you said, doesn't it? Yes, I still had some coffee to drink. And the next time you got up after that was when I'd finished my coffee and stood up to leave. Then I took a gun and shot him. Like I said, I did not shoot that gun. And like I said, there's no point repeating that assertion over and over. Well, I wasn't expecting to be attacked by my own side. Nevertheless, defendant, you can't deny that when the shot rang out in the restaurant, you had a gun in your hand. Well, yes, that's true, but all I did was pick up the gun. I saw the gun I saw on the floor next to the professor as I was leaving the restaurant. In fact, yes, there was someone much closer to the victim than me at the time. The highly suspicious... That will do, you dirty, rotten scoundrel. Dirty? Your baseless accusations could very well cause an international incident, boy. It seems to me that your accusation is just as baseless as ours. What nonsense. The lady is merely stating what she saw. And this is already an international incident as far as I'm concerned, anyway. She obviously couldn't have been the culprit. It's all very well saying that, but can you prove it? Well, that's not how it works, is it? Absolutely, I verified it personally. You verified it? Yes, immediately after the incident I checked to make sure the lady was not carrying a weapon. I distinctly remember her saying, "I'm not." That was all that mattered? That's all you did? You just asked her? Surely you carried out a physical search, Inspector. No. Womp womp. Why on earth not? The honorable English gentlewoman clearly stated that she did not possess a weapon. There was obviously no need for any further probing into the matter. Wow. Or there was no permission given for any further probing into the matter, perhaps? Think what you will. But if you're going to continue with this preposterous claim that the refined lady was concealing a firearm, the prosecution demands that you support your assertion with facts. In other words, he wants evidence. The lady wishes to point out that of course she wanted to stay and assist with the investigation. But she was in a hurry to give a presentation at the university, so she was compelled to leave. Not to mention the fact that your office had told you to get the woman out of there. No, not get her out of there. I just urged her to leave. The lady would like to point out that she is in no way meant to run away from the scene of the crime. Which is why she is only too happy to cooperate and testify here in court today, of course. Of course. Unlike a certain student who refuses to admit when the game is up. You could at least have the courtesy to pay attention to when I'm goading you. Oh. So she's maintaining that you got into an argument with a professor, at the end of which you shot him. Which is an out-and-out, totally unfounded lie. Still, her statement is very compelling. After all, she's an elegant, refined, young and beautiful gentlewoman from Great Britain. That's all the reasons you need, yep. In stark contrast to you, dressed from head to toe in a dull black school uniform. I'm dressed exactly the same way as you are, except for the flapping red ribbons. And the sick-ass sword. Well, anyway, this is our only chance to expose her testimony as the fiction that it is. If we can't do that, the trial's over. Even you, with your thick skin, must be able to feel the murderous looks you're getting from around the room. Only too well. I feel half dead already. And the fact that I can't see a single inconsistency in her testimony isn't making me feel any better either. But I can. The first thing to do is press her on any of her statements that seem even slightly off to you. Or literally all of them. Do that and an opening will present itself, I promise you. I need to expose the true face of this exotic foreigner that's hiding behind the mask. That's what I should be aiming for in this cross-examination. That's where we'll do something. What will we do? Well, you just have to find out. I feel like I have to hit back a few too many times in this menu. There were 2 glasses of water? But then what's with this? I mean, the obvious reason is, you know, when they try to fake her not being there, they also got rid of, you know, the other glass, but that's it. Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That's correct, the lady says. Well, it's odd, very odd. Dear me, what's odd is the defense's inability to express itself. Do you know, Skin? What is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously, it's the cheers. The cheers? Miss Britt just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1. Ah. You're quite right, Counsel. There's only 1 glass pictured here. Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutiae? What possible difference does the presence of or absence of a glass make on the case? Minutiae, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. Well then. But there should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you going to try to tell me you can clink with only 1? You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. Maybe the other glass is hidden in the same spot that the gun was. Or is. Inspector, what did the lady say? And did she understand us the entire time? It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. What? It was all so terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and I should try to hide... thought I should try to hide the fact that I'd been here at all, she's saying. Good gracious. Refusing to show her actual eyes. Sorry. Well, then I guess it's okay. There, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all. Oh, please. We must remember that the student had just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before her very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or two in her state of disarray? That's absurd. Oh, really? So do we take it that you are now going to accuse this vulnerable young and beautiful woman of mischief? Yes. What? No. This can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. It would seem that she had slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. Oh, a handbag. Interesting. Almost seems like a kind of place where you could hide other things too. A handbag, you say? Yes, Your Excellency. A small hand-held pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England. So the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. This student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end it comes to nothing. No more pretentious accusations. You have wasted enough time already. I've never wasted enough time. There's always more time to waste. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed this glass. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. No. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement? Hell no. Well, I don't know, really. If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. Yes, you're right. So she took the glass away in her handbag. If there's a deeper significance here, it's the bad hag. Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen and women carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag. In which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You're right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. You can't seriously be suggesting. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes. Did you or did you not search Miss Giselle Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir. I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. No! Order, order, order! What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Professor Ouchie? Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Oh no, he's dying. I still can't think of the name of that disease. It's not cholera. That's the name that always keeps popping into my mind, but I'm pretty sure it's not that. Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. Huh? As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting. Simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. This photographic print. It's a see-through bag. This print is of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. See that print on the victim's hand? Or the wrist, rather? Interesting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Britt's handbag. Well, I never... You can see right through. Oh, you can see right through what's inside. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like that are at the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. Exactly. So there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Britt's guilt here. Well, that's bad news for us. Thank you for helping prove that, Naruto-san. Order! Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness counsel. No, not at all. There could still be like a hidden partition, and there's this. And she still has that huge hat, with enough space to hold an entire submachine gun, at least. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there's only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime. No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but the weak are meat while the strong eat. You were wasting your time. There's no way to defeat the true justice. Well, then I guess we'll be continuing. In fact, you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma, his dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma, what? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph, the evidence the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little... Yunus Naruto, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby find... Fuck him up, Ryu. Wait, Your Excellency. Yunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet. This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives this ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom. Your Excellency, just a moment ago, you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question. This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. Every time I do, it makes me sprint. All it shows is the handbag where the gentlewoman was carrying on that day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. You'd better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. Well, I mean, what do we have to lose at this point? I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. Let me save now before I don't get a chance. Ha! My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. It's more like a cough. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. I actually don't know yet. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded. I don't think we're gonna point this out, are we? Because that, like, while that is interesting, it doesn't really... Oh, wait! I mean, it might be of importance because... court record. That is the print from the stake table thing, which suggests that he wasn't in this position to begin with, right? Like, he probably was shot, fell over, put his hand on the hot plate or something, got that burn mark, and then was turned around, etc. But is that what we're looking for here? What else could there be? I don't see like a, another partition or anything else in there. I don't think this rose design here is of importance, or the chains. Well, I guess this might be what's important, right? Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description. Dear me, I was pondering what new piffer you would come out with. A burn, you say? On the on the victim's wrist. Certainly, that has nothing whatsoever to do with a magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. Or do we? The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Auchi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. Oh, how important. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, my dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case. If we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it. I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. So then the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. We don't see it here, right? No. But we do see it here. Right here. Ba-boom. What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer, if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How? You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn? Oh, I don't know, maybe this thing that looks like the burn mark? The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. This emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ah! Ryunosuke, you genius. I like that he didn't figure that out either, you know? Like, you know, in previous cases, especially the first cases, it would often be like, oh, good on you to also figure that out. Which, you know, he has also done at least one time. But I like that we're being given actual credit. You're spot on. What the fuck? Ah, there's one of these bugs here flying around. Dumb bitch. Hold on. Let's see if I can throw that out. Yeah, it should be cold enough. That shouldn't be... I mean, this thing somehow is in here, but it'll be fine. Let me just open the blinds and then open the window, etc. Jeez. It landed right on my leg like it was asking to be thrown out. Oops. So I complied. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant. But even if that is the case, we can't know if that happened on the day in question or not. It would have been the day, it could have been the day before, or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well, sadly, Prosecutor Aochi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter! He can be both. Clearly he's a multifaceted person with lots of skills. There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burned themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any other before it. That's right, and the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. Well, he was under painkillers, but... What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antique dealer, all of us would have, without any question, heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Aochi? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think? Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. What? There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson, Hadn't noticed the bird. Was asleep. Was already deceased. Well, that's what I'm gonna say. Wait, I can't. Yes, I can't say. Beep, 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 beep. Was already dead. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning. Burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible. If the man was already dead. Already dead? Dead, rather. Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness! Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot? Well, yeah, I guess if there's no real autopsy and it's just a guy looking at the dead body and he sees a shot through the chest, I guess it wouldn't be unreasonable for them to just go, yep, that must have been the cause of death. While in reality it might have been poisoned, like with a, water, glass of water that might have been taken away. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have not to forget your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency... The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. It's nice that we always end up with good judges in these games. Almost always. Thank you, Your Excellency. You're gonna drop the I don't speak Japanese facade? What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Huh? Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I'm studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. Very nice. She has shown a hint of disdain for Japan or Japanese before. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Oh, well... You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim of Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. Now, I know it's the third time already for today. Second time if you're only counting this stream, this portion of the stream. But I gotta go to an idol meeting. So, BRB. And here I am again. On my own. Something that rhymes with own. Known. Anyway. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible causes of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. Oh, that's an easy way. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Damn, straight up challenging us. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. After what she said, you're still acting like that? Like, Ouchie, I understand he's just kind of a, he's just a dummy. But you, Judge? Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Only, like, a couple million people. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish man of the victim's burn, boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. His powers of observation are good. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any possible any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on this case immediately. Is that clear? He's locking in. Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with your cross-examination. Oh, man. The victim's dead. Well, for now, I don't think we have anything to strictly refute, so we'll be pressing. No idea where the poor man's burn. I mean, let's press, but I don't think that's a statement that we really need to. But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed that. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry? Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. Oh. You can't not have noticed, can you? Huh? What? Ah! Haha, what fun. You hadn't realized. The dear lady is absolutely right. As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke. Damn, everybody's just toiling hard. Why didn't you tell me? I suppose nobody noticed. Maybe she undid the fly somehow. And this is all a setup. That's the real crime here. Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing? I feel like it's more of a Japanese thing to bear with the pain and not say anything in silence than an English gentleman type of thing. It's not a good thing, by the way. Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can. Good job, Ouchie. Well, I can't. Anyway. First and I raised our glasses and toast. As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir. Although? Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table. I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. I have enough English to understand that, at least for the benefit of the others in the court. It means bless you. Right. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway. Post-mortem report. I feel like this is something we definitely need to press. Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us. A little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make it burn like that. And if the victim burned his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point. And yet, the fact that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest... And... wait. Did I misread that? Oops. The fact is... okay, there we go. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time. I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right. If there was, huh? We don't have any evidence like that, right? Like poison or whatever. We can't just point that out, that would be far too soon. Without leaving a trace. If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There would be some physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way to killing someone that doesn't leave a mark? If heavens forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Unlike the water they were drinking. Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Taketsuchi Aochi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. I don't think I have evidence, so I'm gonna press the last thing too, but if that doesn't give us anything, then I guess I'll have to see if maybe we could present the glass or something. But of course, this country... Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at the crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once, and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. What's that? I forgot about this. I think this is a new mechanic. Well, new to this game. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand? Aha, a killer blow. The lady is formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Aochi is finally starting to see sense. No, I think he's just a real ass-kisser. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma. What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her. Inspector Hosonaga. The detective. Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time instead of targeting the woman herself. Let's see what we can get out of the detective. How do I do that? Alright then, I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose. Well, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Okay, I can't hit back to reach the last statement. I can't seem to switch targets here, but I can save. Right, I don't see a way to switch targets. Whoops. Okay. So we'll press again. Where is it? There it is. Still don't see a prompt to do anything else. Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they are usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find that they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him, he's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who is the person actually making the current statement. This must have been a touchscreen thing. But by moving the marker left and right with her, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witness, you'll be able to pursue them with that. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere among the people on the stand, take a look around. Alright, then, so first I should move the marker across with her, and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with her, and press and see what's on his mind. Here we go. I can't hit left or right yet. Now I can. Like the little portrait on the side now. Pursue! Chotto! Yeah! What's the meaning of... I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts, deeply. It looked like you were thinking of something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court. What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful English woman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes. Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you mean? What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. Our savior, Hosonaga. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that? This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. I don't think anyone was going to doubt that part. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Yippee. Miss Brett? Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? It's kind of hard to say, isn't it? Yes, it was that bottle. Okay. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. Because the poison isn't in the bottle, it's in the glass. So she's acting like she's, you know, oh, she doesn't want to say it, but in reality she's smiling because she knows she has us trapped. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Ahem. No idea what the poor man brought her. Brought him a steak and a post-mortem person. Other ways. I think now we might be able to present it. Unless we're supposed to press again, but I don't think so, right? Can we examine it? Yes, we can. The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. Oh. I guess that's just lighting and not traces of poison. Can't find anything out of place. Nothing else to look at. Wait. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. It looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. Or is it? You know, I've been sweating so much I'm absolutely parched. I just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke, in more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out, an interesting possibility. Okay, I feel like now that we've heard that, not that we needed to hear that, but now that, you know, even the game is like, hey, maybe we can present this. Right here! What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order, order, order! And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one, there's only person, I think there's a word we're missing. Only one person who could possibly have done it. Desale Brett, it was you! This is outrageous, to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we have only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty? This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. If I may. I will silence you forever for this. Shut the fuck up, she should have said. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what were you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector. And whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of this bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. Well, that could mean that there's one in there that wasn't tested. That wasn't, in this country, but, We could find no traces of poison or of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. Well, yeah, because the poison was in the glass, not the bottle. No. No! I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving. But wait. Haha. Remember that thing that the professor wanted to have looked up or something? Please, wait. Huh? Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikotoba. In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. It's love! And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. To be continued? Wait. Huh. Didn't think this would have another extra chapter. But I guess then at this point we are gonna stop. Because I'm hungry. And, yeah, it's been kind of... it's one of those games where I have to read a lot out loud. So it's a little harsh. So yeah, I think that's, I would have liked to finish the first case in one go, but hey, whatever. Let's continue next time. So, for this time, I will thank you for watching, hanging out, and, actually getting started on this game with me, on the Great Ace Attorney series. And I hope you'll join me again sometime, like probably tomorrow, where we will probably continue this. But maybe I'll take a day off sometime soon to rest my voice or something. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, either way, join me again. And when you do, it'll be great. So, until we meet again, I say it's Kata-sama. Bye-bye.